Good morning. Good morning. It's good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today we're going to be taking a run on the Southeastern High Speed on Train Sim World 2, but it is post-patch. So it's got the new release with quite a few bug fixes and quite a few updates. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, let's make sure that you can hear me. Yep, that sounds good. We've had a few issues with the microphone lately. So, for some reason, my stream is showing the wrong description. So, let's just quickly change it. There we go. Right. Messing around sorted. So, first things first, in-cab audio. Let's have a listen to the sounds in here as we move some buttons around. Much quieter. That's a lot better. Before, there's a lot of clunks of the levers and the buttons, and the beeping was just far too loud. It's a lot better now. Tons better. I'm going to switch on safety systems. Now, headlights stay running. Desk lights on. So first things first with the desk lights, you can see the dial now illuminates, which wasn't the case before. Circuit breakers are closed, which is great. Right, ready to go. One thing that is worth pointing out, if you went through these, I think it was this signal, you know. I haven't tested to see if it's been fixed yet, but pre-patch, if you tried to go through this signal even on green with the safety systems on, it did trigger. So it'd be interesting to see if that one's fixed. I didn't see it mentioned in the notes, but there we are. Text on the front has been increased quite a bit actually. I didn't know that was actually too small before, but there is a big increase there. Luggage racks, if we can find one. Passengers used to actually sit in the luggage rack, which if you travelled on this thing in real life in rush hour might be realistic, but they did actually get stuck in the luggage rack, so that's been fixed. Also, I hadn't noticed this, but apparently passengers could only leave and board the train through the front and rear train cars, which has also been fixed as well, which is nice. So, let's close the doors, and also wiper sound's been fixed. Not too loud, they're just right. So, we have green signal and we're just about to go, so let's take the DRA off. Make sure we're in forward, we are. And we can now get going. In-cab audio has been increased quite a bit. There's a few changes, which we'll see a little bit more when we get up to speed. When you're travelling at this speed, you don't really notice much of a difference. Except you can hear the wheel noise slightly if you listen. And the wheel screech, you couldn't hear that before. Outside, the wheel noise has been increased quite a lot. It sounds like the same audio that's used on the Dosto cabs on mine's best hot bar to me. But it sounds perfectly fine. It's much louder than it was before, much more immersive. It was far too quiet at pre-patch, so that's now been fixed. All in all, this patch is pretty good. It's brought a lot of issues up to scratch. And immersion braking things as well. So let's go outside and use the train. Now, traction motors. You can hear, but they don't seem to be increased in volume. So pretty soon, as you get up to speed, you can't. I don't know how realistic that is, but it's worth mentioning the wheel drag and traction motors. Cab, you'll notice you start to get some rattles and bumps noises, which sound like they're taken from a Peninsula Corridor, bi-level cab car. You can hear them coming through now. And the wheel noise. whistle's also been dialed down. It's still quite loud though. I mean, if you listen to this, the whistle is louder than before. But it's a damn sight better than it was. So you can now see this dial in the dark. The only thing that you can't see is the needle in the dark, which is quite a big one, because when you're in a tunnel you can't actually see where the needle's pointing. I think Dovetail have mentioned that they are going to mention that. How long it takes to get fixed, I don't know. I would imagine if they are going to put any more fixes out, they'll come out shortly before the Class 465 DLC comes out, because a couple of days before the DLC gets released you'll have a route update. It would make sense to put any further bug fixes in with that update. But we shall see what happens. Tunnel lighting, particularly along the non-high speed section, is loads better. You go through the tunnels, it's just dark, the cab doesn't keep lighting up. But on the high speed section, it hasn't been fully fixed, I have to say. It's better. It's not quite perfect yet. All in all, it has definitely improved a lot, and I would say is now where we'd really expect a route to be when it gets released on day one. There were definitely some issues before that I don't personally think should have been there. It felt a little bit rushed in places, but now this is, I can now highly recommend the route. Before it was a case of, if you can live with the bugs, yes, go and get it, because it is still great to drive. It is now a case of, yeah, if you want a passenger route and you like British routes, well, it's so much better, and it is, I would say, it's a pretty much a release standard now. Some bugs still remain. For example, when you're on the high speed section, KVB still displays an orange P all the time, which it shouldn't do. They are very, very minor details there. I think considering the issues that were there at release, Dovetail have done a good job of prioritising what needed to be prioritised and fixed what needed to be fixed as a priority first, and then obviously the other bits, niggles, can be solved further down. Whistle board. So outside speed. Much louder. There's a few little patch notes that I hadn't noticed when needed fixing. One is that sometimes the passengers looked as if they were wet, which was something to do with how the lighting was set. That's now been fixed. Too many people getting off. I think it was at Faversham incident actually. I hadn't really noticed that. Being on console, there aren't as many passengers as there are on PC, so perhaps on PC you'll notice a big improvement there. I haven't seen much of a difference. This route does run very smoothly on my No changes to the scenery in this patch. I think there was one bridge that you could walk on and fall through, which has now been fixed, and they've removed some of this called Gillingham Depot, so you can now get in there, which is nice. And then at Hoole Yard, the signals have been changed, so you can actually go in there. Now I have been yakking away, and I haven't noticed that people have stopped coming up, so this may well end up being a bit of a nasty overshoot. If we can get down to 50 by the time it gets 300 yards, we're alright, but that's a big ask. Yeah, it's going to be an overshoot, this is. Not to worry, we're on time. At least the light's green, so we're not going to get a spell. It's not going to be the worst overshoot in history, but it's certainly not going to all be the platform, is it? Not to worry, this is what happens when we talk. Keep looking at patch notes. On the plus side, we are further ahead, ready for the next station. We've got a head start. That is terrible. Let's look at it from the back, then it doesn't look as bad. There we go. There do seem to be more passengers, actually, than I recall before. That might just be me imagining things, but it certainly looks a bit more lively than normal. See? On time. At least they don't put overshoots on here. There was a passenger information screen showing at the wrong station at one point along the route. I think it might have been at Sittingbourne. I think it believed it was at Chatham. So the board was showing the departure times for Chatham. That's been fixed as well. In terms of the display boards, particularly on 375, they are all now there. There were some of them that were missing before Charing Cross. But yeah, that's all been sorted. Right, we're on. We've got a bit of a head start, as we mentioned, due to the disastrous overshoot there. Let's try not to do any more overshoots. I'm normally perfectly fine with the braking on this train, to be totally honest. Let's blame the fact that we're chatting at the same time, rather than just my own inability to stop. One thing I did notice from Dovetail Stream though, so this button, the signal, doesn't make a noise. Apparently, in reality, it's actually disconnected and doesn't do anything. So that's good to know. That's why that doesn't actually do anything when you would expect it to. Good to know. So, 6:10 on a nice spring morning, heading into London now. Speed decreased to 70 miles an hour further along. Got to keep an eye out for how far we are away now, and hopefully no more overshoots. You can definitely hear the cab audio, the alarm sounds, the controls are all much better now. They've been dialed down a lot. Interestingly as well, the timetable seems very tight on this route, particularly along the non-high speed section. That I watched the address on the stream yesterday, which was they are automatically calculated based off the speed of the train and a little bit of leeway for your driving ability. Now, normally on a route, obviously the train performs the same along the whole route, so it's easy to calculate. On this route, your train accelerates and goes a lot faster on the high-speed section than it does on this section. And the calculation system that Dovetail use can't figure that out, so they've had to take a bit of a mash of the two together as an overall average. So it's a little bit easier, potentially, than it should be to keep speed on the high-speed section, and a bit more difficult than it should be to keep speed on this section. Presumably, if they were to calculate the whole route off high speed, it would be impossible to get anywhere near the timetable in this section. And if they were to calculate the timetable off just the speed that your train performs at here, you'd have several minutes of sitting around doing nothing when you're pulling into the high speed stations. So, yeah, they've done alright. There are a couple of stations where you're going to arrive late. Strood in particular is one where you can't seem to arrive on time at all. Particularly when we're heading in this direction. You may find that out a little bit. I think it's because you have quite a few speed reductions that increases, and on this section you can't get up to speed as quick as the timetable predicts you can, if that makes sense. I chose this service because someone actually mentioned it on the Dovetail Games forum as being, you know, if you set it in spring and do this one, it's actually quite a nice, pretty good looking run. Yeah, it's nice. We're still early morning, but as we go along the route, it should start getting a bit lighter. Very picturesque. pre-patch, the clunk of this handle was considerably louder than the whole train going past at 140 miles an hour, which obviously, you know, we don't drive these trains in reality, but I think we all know that's not quite right. Whereas now, nice little handle, the train loads better. 1.2 miles to go. Let's try and stop on time this time. 2 minutes, and I think we should be on time for this one. He says, and we'll find out in a minute. I've only had to reverse into a station once since I've had this DLC. I wasn't streaming on that one, luckily, so we managed to hide the evidence of the incredibly illegal move. Braking a bit late again. What am I doing? We're going a bit slow this time though, so yeah, we should be fine. As long as you're doing no more than 50 and 300 yards, if you're going heavy with the brakes, you'll be alright. And with a minute to spare, the passengers are going to be ecstatic. But then again, it's Britain and it's early morning. Let's face it, people are probably going to be pretty miserable. But at least it's not raining, so you know, there's something to be happy about. Probably not smooth on the brakes as we'd like to be, but it doesn't matter. Being thrown to the floor just as the train pulls to stop is part of commuting here in the UK. The door speeds have also been adjusted to match the sound, so whereas before the doors would glide shut rather quickly and then you'd hear the door shutting a couple of seconds afterwards, the doors now match up, so we'll have a listen to that in a moment. Platform 0. I've never actually been on these stations in real life. It's not very often you get Platform 0. I'm assuming that's because, is that just a siding where you store a train perhaps? I don't see any departure walls. Yeah, I presume that's just where you store a train. There's no destination clause in here. Illuminated. When I get to the timetable mode a bit more, I would imagine we might actually get to drive that one. There does feel to be more passengers. Definitely so. Right then, let's take a look at the doors. And the sounds of the doors. Definitely slower. Yeah, and now the actual sounds match up with the doors, and you can hear the locking mechanism kicking in after. One thing I haven't checked out yet is before, if you had the longer train like we've got here, with two trains linked together, I think that's what we've got, isn't it? Yeah, so the rear train wouldn't actually make any sound. Let's see if that's fixed. Traction motor noises on the rear train. No traction motor noises here. Interesting. So we can hear from the rear train. So obviously the rear train doesn't have a meter, so this one does. So back to the front. That is not fixed. Motor's on this train. The motor's on this train. Odd. Very odd. So yeah, sounds definitely better, but no motion, no traction motor noises on the fronts. Traction motor noises are on the rear. As far as I recall, interesting. Let's see what happens when we come out of the next station. But yeah, all in all, much better than pre-patch. catch. Under 2 miles to Gillingham and over 2 minutes, so we should be on time for this one. We'll try not to overshoot this one as well. We'll just pretend the first stop didn't go that badly. Down to 60 along here. You can hear that cab rattle, which wasn't there before. And of course you can hear the wind noise as well. Right, bit of guesswork to try and keep on time here. Do we slow down as we should do for this, or... oh no, we're fine. Do we presume that the red is actually at the end of the platform and we don't need to slow down just yet? Oh, there we go, we've been 15 points there. I go slightly over speed. So I haven't actually tried it yet, but apparently wherever the invisible walls were around this depot before that stopped you going in, you can now go into the depot. It's been sorted. We've got a bit of time to get to this station, so we can afford to be a little bit more gentle with brakes. Passengers happy, no cups of coffee flying around everywhere. We're not on the London Underground, we don't need to be throw the passengers to the ground every time we stop. Anyone who's travelled into London and been on the London Underground knows what I'm talking about there. Ah, we heard the traction motor sounds there that time, so that's an odd one. Let's give that another go when we leave and just see if the traction motor sounds are fixed along the whole train or if that was just a slight anomaly. I know sometimes if you're driving the Talent 2 on Cologne to Aachen, occasionally when you put the accelerator or the throttle on full, you don't always get the traction motor sounds. It's very rare that bug seems to happen, but let's see what happens when we leave here. So let's put a bit of realism on. Do you alright? Let's do it properly. $20 seconds to go. Let's try and get the door shut on time. So, DRA off because the signal is clear. Right, traction motor sounds, let's give it a go again this time. Brakes off. So, we've got traction motor sounds on the front train of this train. Let's go to the rear and see what's got set up. Now, so it seems to be when you're outside the train, whichever one you buy when you first hit off, that's the one that's going to have sounds. So now, because we were outside the front of the train, traction motor sounds on the front of the train, and then the rear one, no traction motor sounds. So the front one. Oh, we're in a tunnel, but you get the point. That's a shame. That's a bit of an annoying bug for me, that one. Doesn't ruin the game, of course, but you know, if you're on an outside view, the traction motors are only working sound on the train. Slightly disappointed on that one. But this does give us an opportunity to show off the tunnels are fixed along this section of the routes for the most part. It's dark in here now. We haven't got the train lighting up as if someone's put a floodlight on. That's much improved. That was a bit of an immersion killer before. Oh, 30, I didn't notice that one coming up. I should remember that by now, I've done this route enough. Into Chatham, where there is apparently a donkey hidden somewhere by the team that does all the scenery. I can't find it for love nor money. I've spent ages wandering around trying to find the donkey hidden on this route, and I can't find it. There's a lighting a bit off there. I don't think that was quite right entering the tunnel, but it seems okay now. Wherever the donkey is hidden at Chatham, I can't find it. To the west end of the platform, so towards... So up there somewhere is Victoria Gardens in reality, so I might just see if I can pop the camera up there while we're waiting. We might see a donkey today, I don't know. Probably won't. Just about on time, 10 seconds to go. In other words, not realistic in terms of how we're doing the timetable. I don't think I've ever been on a train in the UK that's on time. If anyone remembers the British Rail days of the early 90s, if your train was on time, was within 3 hours of its timetable, you were doing quite well. Right, Victoria Gardens is up there, but I don't think we're going to be able to get the camera up there. No, we're not. Certainly not on console. So just to test out the theory on the traction motor sounds, we'll go to the rear end of the train when we set off and see if we have that same glitch again. I don't know if anyone's seen these, but if you use the camera you can contact the signaller from these as well, which is a nice touch. You can't do it when you're on foot, but you can do it using the free cam. So we can jump out to the rear camera. Let's do that. So, traction motor sounds. So this is the rear 6 cars. Let's move forward to one that actually has some motors. Okay. So we can now hear the traction motor sounds on the rear 6 car set. No, let's wait till we get out of the tunnel. Right, the lighting didn't seem to be quite perfect there. Let's see how we get on. If my theory is right, we should now have traction motor sounds on the rear 6 cars, but not the front 6 cars, because we had the camera by the rear 6 cars when we left the station. So, let's test that out. We're going to have a red before the station. I can't remember where the next signal is. Okay, so let's just slow down a touch. And then we can floor it and test out the traction motor sounds again. This is not really the section of the railway to be trying it, because we keep going in and out of tunnels. Oh, I think there's a signal up here. Yeah, we've got a red. Okay, so let's... We'll test out the traction motor theory in a second. Ah, we've got a yellow. So, fronts. Full throttle. Right, we've now got traction motor sounds on the front, but machine on the back. Let's test it out properly when we come out the next station, because we're not going to have tunnels give us any issues then. Or red lights, hopefully. But yeah, there's definitely still an issue with the traction motor sounds coming out from when you've got 2 trains coupled together as we go. But, as I said earlier, much improved, and it's tons better now. Hey, we're on time into Rochester. We're doing all right. We haven't got Strood yet, though. That's where we're going to lose the time normally. So the doors open nice and quick now. No passengers wedged in the luggage rack, impaled on the metal bars, which is good. It's a shame that's not a 395 because we could have shown that they have also fixed the traction motor sounds on the AI 395s. They used to sound like a UFO and now sound as they should do. So that's good as well. Are we going to come across some 395s actually? What have we got? And a 627 to Ray. Oh, that's that one. 637 to Gillingham. Gillingham, yeah, no. Those are all going to be 375s, so no 395s coming through. Right, traction motor theory test. Let's try it this time. Right, we are clear to go. Lower a bit early. Let's give it a second. DRA off. Let's do it a little bit early and try and find out. Let's get brakes ready to go. So we've got the camera by the front 6 cars this time. So we should get the traction motor sounds on the front 6. Yes, you can hear them now. Goes to the rear 6. Intermittent, shall we say. Sometimes you'll have traction motor sounds on both trains, sometimes you won't. Interesting. Not to worry, unless you're actually looking for it, you might not notice that, particularly if you just sat in the cab driving, you're not going to notice. Do we go down to 15 here if we're going across the points? I can't remember. Just keep it at 20, I think. Let's see. I'll go into the point. Yeah, you do. You get down to 15 shortly. Our route learning's getting better. It's about the first time I've actually remembered a speed reduction, but it's better than never remembering any. Minute and a half to go. We might be on time into Strood. That doesn't happen very often. Keep feathering the brakes. I'm not sure if that's how you do it in real life, but that's the only way we're going to keep under 15 coming down here. 1 minute 5 seconds to go. I think we've got this. I think we're on time. Fans cut out there, presumably that's because we've gone over the join in the third rail. Slightly less of a steep incline towards this end of the platform, but the rear of the train's going to be on the steep bit still, so we're going to have to keep feathering the brakes. Oh, have I put it into emergency? Didn't mean to do that. There we go. Hold it in emergency for 3 seconds to stop the alarms. I'm not going to mess around doing any more of the testing that traction motor theory. We know that sometimes you'll get it along the whole train, but a lot of the time it'll only be either the front 6 cars or the rear 6 cars, and it seems to be whatever train you're closest to. with your external camera, when you first accelerate, that will have the traction motor sounds, the other one won't. But if you put the throttle off, it kind of starts the process again, if that makes sense. It does to me, may well not to you. I do know that might sound a little bit weird. Let's shut the doors properly then, shall we? Let's do it that way. Right, back and forwards. We are green aspect, so DRA, we can just unset that. Yeah, there you go. No motor sounds at the back. Motor sounds at the front. Odd. So I've not zoomed in on this yet, but let's have a look at what this looks like when we're in the tunnel. So as we enter... Oh! Well done, that's gone very bright all of a sudden. It's not supposed to do that. It's still illuminated in here a little bit more than it should be. Ah, that's what it's supposed to be like. So the tunnels are better, but not quite perfect. Yeah. I mean, you can just about see the tip of the needle if I do that. Let's go to 15 and let me just put brakes on again. So, yeah, you can just see the tip of the needle, but it's not. I can't imagine it being like that, exactly like in real life, because otherwise the driver is not going to see what the brakes are doing in the dark. We could put cab light on, I suppose, couldn't we? See, where is it? Is that it? Yeah. Actually, it's really off. Now we can see what we're doing properly. Yes. Sometimes, I don't know if that's the end of the tunnel or if that's going to jump away, but that issue still exists where the end of the tunnel hasn't fully loaded yet until you get closer, so it'll look like it comes to the end and then it'll disappear. I don't think that's something that's going to have to be fixed if I'm totally honest. Yeah, that seems to have like it's gone now, where it was there a moment ago. I need a PS5 and hopefully down the line a proper PS5 version of the game. That'd be great. Can't get old for PS5 at the moment, but you know, down the road we might be alright. Get rid of the reading light. It's a bit nice and dark in here. In reality, you'd have as few lights on the cab as possible, otherwise you're just going to be able to see your own face reflected in the windscreen. And as beautiful as that may be, that's not good for safety. Because you can't see what's coming. All green ahead, that's the way we like it. Off to Gravesend, 5.5 miles, 4 and a bit minutes. That's going to be a tricky one. I think we're going to end up being late into Gravesend. Strood to Gravesend, that's where we tend to lose the most time against the timetable. There's that nice train rattle noise in the background we can hear here. I think after Gravesend, is it Ebbsfleet and next after Gravesend? I'm pretty sure it is. And then we're on the high speed section. That's the fun bit. And we can have a look at the work that's been done on the tunnels on there. Like I said, it's improved. It's not perfect, but it is vastly improved. Biggest change for me though is the audio. It's just so much better. You have noticed, I said before, you can't hit the traction motors at speed, but I think as you get up to this kind of speed, you actually don't work quite as well. It's like you're on full throttle, so you're only going to get down to rate test, how does that like this? Can I explain explain KVA. KVB is this one here. This isn't active on this set of the route. KVB, on the left in the orange is what's upcoming. On the green on the right is what's currently enforced. So if there is a P on the orange side, that means that there is an upcoming restriction of less than 160 kilometres an hour. If there is a P in green on the right, you have to currently stay below 160 kilometres an hour. And it will warn you of upcoming stops as well. Zeros on the orange side mean that there is an upcoming stop, so you need to stop slowing down. And zeros in green on the right means you should be stopped right now. If you jump onto Steam's website, there is a manual for this route. There is actually a single page that shows you what everything on the KVB actually means. It's barely used, to be honest. KVB is used when there's no AWS and there's no TVM, which is barely anything on this route. The moment you get to high speed on here, this takes over very quickly, so you don't really use this at all. I think even on the TGV, I don't recall, although I haven't got the DLC, I've watched many streams here, I don't think this actually gets used much on that route either. It does in reality on the full length of the route, of course, but on the section that's represented in game, this one doesn't really get used. Nowhere near as complicated as PZB anyway, although I think it's quite good fun to play with. 2.2 miles to go and 2 and a bit minutes. KVB doesn't seem to play perfectly nice in this route because at the moment I'm pretty sure they shouldn't be displaying anything, I could be wrong. And I know that when you come out of HS1 into this section coming the other way, there is always a P on there. That shouldn't be the case. Again, it shouldn't be there. But I know that's got mentioned in a Dovetail stream. Hopefully they'll fix that down the route. I don't know when. Oh crikey, 50 mile an hour limit coming up. Let's slow down for that. Leave the throttle on a little bit, let's put it to 2. Yeah, we're accelerating a touch now. 50. Right, so we need to leave it in position 1 to maintain our speed on this bit. What's it beeping at before? What's upcoming? Upcoming 30. .40 seconds, 0.7 miles, and we've got to drop to 30, so this is going to be a challenge to keep on time. We'll make it up, I think. It's good to be optimistic. Just in time there. Probably a bit more aggressive braking than we would have liked. Going downhill as well, so let's not put any throttle on. Oh, we're late. Only a few seconds. That's alright. Is it in Japan? If you're more than 6 seconds late in Japan, you get a refund and a letter to explain to your boss why you're late? I can't remember. Something insane anyway, but yeah. Under a minute late, I'll be happy with that. I'm going to be well away, I think. Oh, I didn't mean to move into the power section there. That's a mistake. Let's pretend that in now. Right, DRA on. I thought that was a collectible then, it's a door. Always get excited when I find a missing collectible. Missing collectible, I haven't got time to go and grab that. Let's Do you know what? I'm not even going to try and chance that. By the time we've got round, we're going to be late. We'll come back for it another day. Let's get the front camera back in place. Let's just try that traction motor sound bug one more time, shall we? And see if it's still there. Right, doors closed. Green aspect, DRA off. Right, brakes off. Outside, right, front set of 6 cars. Do we get traction motor sounds? Yep. Switch to the rear set. No traction motor sounds once we're here. From 375 then, that's the same. Traction motor sounds on front, not on the rear. Let's hope that gets fixed in a future patch. But again, it does seem to depend on which set of cars you have the camera by. If you start at one, put your camera at the back and leave the station, you'll get the traction motor sounds on the rear 6 set, but not on the front 6. Let's try that now. If I go to the rear, full power. Right, we've got traction motor sounds on the rears of the cars. Front, none. Yeah, so the traction motor sounds are now on the back of the set, not on the front. That's really weird. What if I take the throttle off? Right, we're at the front, full power. Right, we're on the front now, yeah, so that seems to be the cameras by the front 6 cars. When you put the throttle out to 0, you get the traction motor sounds on the front cars. If you camera to the rear and you put the throttle out to 0, you get traction motor sounds on the rear set. Odd. Very odd indeed. Into Ebbs Fleet now? Yes. Tell you what, let's see if that bug exists when we switch over to the overhead wires instead of the DC third rail, shall we? Why am I obsessing over this bug? It doesn't even matter really, does it? You sit in the cab most of the time, but it's just interesting to know. Just interesting. Right. Oh god, we're late already? What? We should be able to make the time up in the next section anyway. As we get to the high speeds. 62 miles an hour coming up. That's after the platform because that is 100 kilometres an hour. 62 miles an hour is 100 kilometres. What's 81? Is that 130? I think. I don't know. Anyway, not important. God, we're going to be a minute late now, aren't we? We've actually lost time between Gravesend and here. Not to worry. Just right. Let's do the power change. Get the pantograph up. So, no power, circuit breaker open, pantograph up, power on, circuit breaker open, and again, circuit breaker closed. And there we are. And we can get the hammer down when we come out of here, so let's see. Font on the side is still the same size, just on the front that's been increased with this patch. It's the only one that needed to be increased as far as I know. Right, then we're getting ready to go. So into forwards. Close the doors. Alright. Brakes released. So, traction motor sounds on overhead wires. Hear them on the front. Can't hear them on the back. There we go. So. Never mind. Right, KVB, we've not even using KVB, we're straight into TDM. Cab sounds you can really hear on this section, the rattling and the clattering inside the cab. So this tunnel seems fine so far. Well, what's that? Some light getting in from somewhere. But the cab has not lit up, so that's a fix that's very welcome. 50 miles to Stratford, and then there's only about 6.5, 7 miles, is it, from Stratford to St Pancras Link? This is definitely the longest high-speed section anyway. Shame we can't see the brake beams. Only going to do this run today, and then we'll call it down the street. I might jump on later, we shall see. But there's certainly no plans to do so. Yeah, so things seem to be lighting up along here. It's hit the occasional one. Time to time you can see the rails reflecting some light that it shouldn't be as well. Nothing major. And again, certainly not to improve over where it was before. In fact, if I didn't know that bubble existed before, if I notice it on the trail. Picking holes, it's not really bad. It's pretty good. Outside sounds certainly boosted from here. Sounds. I've seen a lot when the trains go past. It sounds pretty bad on really. That's pretty impressive. That's a good demo, but the 395 going past there, it didn't sound like a UFO as a new pre-patch. Very well fixed there as well. "12 miles, 6 minutes to go. Still not got up to top speed yet. Not for lack of trying. We're in 4, and we're even slowing down on this bit. There we go. Not sure how accurate the scenery is around this bit, I have to be honest. I don't know this really well. But we're coming right into the middle of London. Very soon. Could be wrong, of course. Just feels more like countryside as opposed to a huge city around this bit. Okay, let's try and keep it 225. if only this train had some kind of automatic speed control system like the ICE3. Could go and make a cup of tea. Scenery around here. Hard enough to address the landscape in work, but it does feel like it's touch brakes. Just so we don't go speeding too much. So as you can see, the lighting in this tunnel seems pretty good so far. The cab's not illuminating. Everything's nice and dark. There's no reflections off the rails or anything here. Just seems to have changed at the top a little bit. Yeah, that's being very picky indeed. So yeah, other than the odd little minor niggle, I can say I can highly recommend this route now. Before, it was a case of check out the bugs and see what you think, and if you can live with them, go for it. Now it's a case of, you know what, if you like passengers routes, you like British routes, go for it. It's absolutely fantastic. It was good fun before anyway, but now that it sounds to be fixed especially, it's fantastic. I still haven't driven the trainboat train yet, the one with the rainbow on the side of it. I've completed the entire journey mode, I've done plenty of passenger seats, it's on the timetable mode, still not got a trainboat. I did see it once at Faversham as an AI train, that's been it. I think statistically, so I figured out 4%, so what's that? 1 in 25 chance. I've definitely driven more than 25 services, so this is exactly why I do not play the lottery, because I've never seem to have always look here. Let's try and make sure we slow down in time so we don't get the brakes, the emergency brakes going on. We're going to have another slow down shortly. So that's, yeah, 60. We're going to slow down more than 160 again. Straight down to 100, there we go. Then we're racing the brakes at 60 kilometres now, we're going to drop by from the next TDN flag. No unusual lighting in this tunnel so far, and we're nearly at the end of it, so big improvement here. As far as I recall, when you were coming the other way before, into this tunnel, it was quite bad, let's call it what it is. Bit of light leaking in here. Live with that, that's fine. It was around here the cab used to light up badly. That's fine. And along this bit as well, we used to get the cab lighting up too much. Few seconds late. Can't complain with that, can we? Do you know what? I put the brakes in. I thought we were doing 69 miles an hour. It's 69 kilometres an hour, isn't it? Throwing some passengers to the ground with the aggressive braking for no reason at all. I always struggle to calculate what we should be doing here because it's kilometres an hour and then it's the distance is in yards. Unique to this route. One stop to go. 7:03 in St Pancras, so 6 minutes. And then we'll call it a day on stream for the time being. That's another unusual. There's no sound. No fan noises or aircon sounds. On the front six. Oh no, it could just be the same from inside actually. It could be me over listening. Yeah, it is. Lock the doors. Oh, I didn't do the DRA at this stop. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Everybody's safe. Everybody's well. Everybody's happy. 5 miles to St Pancras in 5 minutes. So we've got to average what, 100 kilometres an hour as an average for that? 62 miles an hour? I think we might be okay. Oh, that's like, oh no, the light in there, the cab's lit up quite a bit. That's not fixed there. Let's see what happens when we get into this tunnel. As far as I recall from a quick run yesterday, this one was the worst, coming in the opposite direction. So into the tunnel we go. Yeah, it's better, damn sight better. There's a slight line blip there, but that's fine. Bit of light leaking in there. Again, we can live with that, that's fine. Up to 225. I don't think we're going to quite make 225 because in 2 miles we're going to be down to 200 again. So as far as I recall anyway, you never get up to full speed in this tunnel. Yeah, so expect some reduced speed shortly. So we're going to keep accelerating because we're well under the 225. It should drop to 200 at the next TVM flag. 200. You know what, we can keep accelerating, can't we? It's not blinking to let us know we're going to be dropping down again too soon. After we come out the tunnel, we drop down to 60 and then finally down to 40. Right, 200, I expect to slow down, so let's take the throttle off. Just need coasting. 2 and a bit minutes to go. 2.2 miles. Yes, fine. Right, 160. Don't have to brake too aggressively because we were already slowed down. And then we slowed down further. I can't remember if it drops us to 130 then 100 or if it goes straight to 100. And the rails were illuminated or like reflecting back a little bit like that. That's what I meant earlier on. Down to 100. Right. Braking. Leave the throttle on a bit because we are going up quite a steep incline here. Down to 80. General bit of deceleration there, we've got plenty of time. Ah, right, so cab's illuminated there, so this is where the lighting issues still exist in the tunnel. AWS telling us that AWS is going to be taking over. And again, the cab's just lit up again. Presumably Dovetail are having a bit of trouble trying to get it working right now, isn't it? said we've got a 60 coming up, but I didn't notice it, so slow down. Right, there we go, KBB. Not sure if that P's supposed to be on there. I know the P means we're expecting below 160, and that's where we already are, so yeah, I think that's supposed to be. Right, down to 40 now. Expect stop in 2 signals. Gonna have to leave the brakes on because this is a very steep hill here. We're on 3.5%, that's quite a heavy gradient for a railway. Expect stop at the next signal, which we know is the case because that's the end of the platform. 20 seconds, we're going to be a few seconds late. Again, we can live with that, can't we? Not a bad run, other than the overshoots. What was it? 35, 40 yards at the first stop. But other than that, I think we've done alright. I'm happy with that. Slightly longer run this one, 1 hour 7 minutes so far we've been streaming for. Time for a brew, put the kettle on. Have we seen any train bows? I didn't pay attention. I think I might have seen something colourful at the corner of my eye, but that might just be wishful thinking. There's still none of the coloured stopping markers when you come to the last stop, whether you're going into Faversham or into St Pancras. That one still exists. It's not really a massive bug, really. But... Right, no train bows at this end. Let's have a look at the other end, shall we? Whoa, what happened there? They all fell out. They just all popped out the floor. No train bows. No train bows. Guess what? No train bows. Those cargo pants. It's 2021, mate. Definitely a longer loading and unloading procedure at the last stop. Where are these trains off to? Ramsgate, Faversham, Margate. Ah, right, see, that's the one that you can't actually drive. You can jump in as a passenger, but once you arrive at Ebbsfleet, you go into the lower platforms and your game will end. You can't drive them, but you can sit as a passenger as far as Ebbsfleet. Would be nice if you could drive these, actually, you know, just a quick... What's it going to take? 20 minutes? But obviously they've not actually modelled the lower platforms properly, so that's not going to happen. But I think I did see someone had made a mod on the PC forum so you can drive these into the lower Ebbsfleet platform. But again, it's not modelled properly, so, you know, it's each their own. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have a metal rod floating in the air on its own like that. Could be wrong. I'd imagine there'd be a support at this end for it. But who knows, I'm not a lighting specialist. So, there we go, hour and 8 minutes. Gold medal, yes. What was that overshoot? 73 yards? My God. Dreadful. Other than that, what was it? 1 and a bit yards was the worst. And then the last one, it never gives you a stop accuracy because it doesn't have that stopping marker. I have reported that on the forum, so hopefully one day we'll see a fix for that. You never know. Anyway, in summary, that first patch has fixed so many bugs. The audio's better. It's so much better. And this is now a route that I can say, yeah, if you like high speed, if you like British routes, if you like passenger services, go for it. If you've got East Coast Way, you'll have a few freight runs on here. Not that many. Doesn't bother me. I'm not a big freight fan. There's not much freight on this in real life, so that's fine. A few freight runs to mess around with, but nothing major. And then if you own North Trans Pennine, you will have your rail tours, so you can run with the Class 47 or the Class 45. And if you own Tees Valley Line, you'll even get some extra locos you can run on the 4 rail tour services. Yeah, definitely highly recommended route. It was recommended before if you could accept the bugs, whereas now it is just recommended. The odd little niggle still exists, but certainly nothing that's really going to put you off. So yeah, $24.99, well worth a download. That's it from me, guys. I will see you in the next stream. Bye bye.